Hello everyone and welcome to WSMV4 Now. I'm Marius Payton alongside Tracy Cornett. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We want to talk about mental health today, and a lot of people struggle with mental health.
Yes, but it's this unusual treatment that is really rocking the boat for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's a major conversation because so many more people than you probably believe are giving this a try. Have you heard about psychedelics, basically using magic mushrooms to treat some of these major conditions like PTSD?
Yeah, now it's weird because it's not legal in a lot of states. So
Right.
people are like, should I do it? Should I not do it? But one person we talked to says it helped her out tremendously.
Absolutely. I want to show you who she is and tell you a little about this lady. So this is Laura Persinger, and you know what we didn't do here? You
It's right
show
here.
us this. Okay, here we go. I want to show you this woman here. For several years, she could not even go outside. She became a shut-in, this woman, Laura Persinger. We actually joined her on a walk through the state park. She was only able to even function in a park like that after psychedelic experiences.
Yeah, she had struggles with anxiety and depression, and it just totally engulfed her. But she found this other option.
Psilocybin is what it's called. Psilocybin, it's more commonly known as magic mushrooms. How do psychedelics work in this kind of capacity with depression, anxiety, or PTSD?
You know, they say, it says that people's negative beliefs about themselves can make their brain like a frozen pond, and using psychedelics thaws that barrier to kind of rewrite the brain. The brain is such an amazing, amazing organ.
Yeah, this woman right here, Jennifer Chesek, she wrote this psilocybin handbook for women explaining that, you know, you take that rock and in the form of a new belief, drop it in that pond, as you mentioned, and it gains entry into the water, causes a ripple effect, and basically creates new synapses and new wires so that you can actually think differently.
And it's working. It's
Yeah.
working for her. You see her going through a little session right there.
Yeah, psychedelic experience using ketamine-assisted therapy. Okay, we were talking about this ketamine, that legal anesthetic with psychedelic properties that has been used for several years to help veterans experiencing PTSD, and we heard about that in the Matthew Perry death.
Yes, we did. We heard about that. I have friends that have taken it. I have a son that has taken it. And it's one of those medicines that you have to be kind of cautious with.
Oh, it sounds like extremely cautious when you're talking about some of these side effects. So this is a Nashville therapist, Robert DeSalvo. He says the monitored treatment plus talk therapy together, it is what's really helping patients kind of connect what they experience while they're on the drug to what's impacting their mental health.
And he says, you know, it impacts their mental health, and he says he can see them working through things, and it really affects them for a long time. And experts in the field of psychology recognize people's desperation for help, and he warns the research on illegal psychedelics isn't broad enough to prove them safe, and the side effects like psychosis, a loss of reality, and worsening mental health conditions are very serious. Now, the side effects is what people are really concerned about.
So this is Dr. Bertha Madras. She's a professor of psychobiology at Harvard Medical School. She's studied in the field since the 70s. And Marius, this is where I got really alarmed in reporting the story. The side effects that you mentioned that we showed you on the graphic, think about it this way. It can really rob you of a normal life if your depression that you're treated for turns into bipolar disorder, or your depression, again, after these psychedelics, can turn into schizophrenia.
And that is the problem. That's the
Yes.
issue that a lot of people have. You don't know if this could possibly happen to you. So it works for some, but for others, it might not work.
Exactly. So that's one of those keys. And if the FDA were to approve a psychedelic for treatment of certain mental health disorders, she would support it, she says. But I wanted to give you guys the latest on what the FDA is saying here about the approval, because it may happen sooner than later. We know that a prescription psychedelics research company called MAPS filed for FDA approval of MDMA-assisted therapy in late of last year. So listen to this. This whole thing, MDMA, is a psychedelic commonly known as, guess what? Ecstasy.
Wow.
Ecstasy is what they're using. I think there's just such a reputation around a drug like that. So to be used for medicinal or for, you know, psychiatric purposes is something that is opening a lot of people's minds.
But I think we've seen that within the medical industry where you have a drug that's meant for one purpose and people are now using it for another purpose. You take
point.
Ozempic. It was meant for diabetes, and now people are using it for weight loss.
Good point. I'm even thinking of the simple Botox, right?
Yes.
Being used for so many other things other than wrinkle treatment,
Yeah.
right?
And we know the FDA, they take their time, they take their precious time making sure they research everything before they approve certain drugs and certain treatments.
Because once the FDA approves something, then it is paid for by insurance, and that is where it can get complicated, and that's why there's so many battles. So this woman, Persinger, Mrs. Persinger, says her psychedelic experience helped her return to a normal life, so it's certainly something worth discussing, and which we will continue to explore.
Yes, we will.
I know I spoke to a woman who is a death doula. So you know there's a birth doula helping new moms welcome their babies. This is a death doula helping people transition to the next phase, and
Wow.
she uses psychedelics in that whole process of reconciliation and things that we've
Yes,
talked about recently.
we've both done stories about people
Yeah.
who are transitioning.
So you'll meet, I know, in a different way, not transitioning in the other conversation.
Transitioning
That's so
from
in
life
the news.
to the afterlife.
Life to death, dying.
Yes.
Yeah, death and dying. So, Marius, there's so much changing here in our next 7 days when it comes
Wow.
to our weather
Yes.
here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee.
And if you've gone outside, you already know it is cold out there. It's about to get cold and windy, and then after that, all bets are off.
Because it's going to get snowy, and yeah, this is where you start going, are we going to lose power? Are we going to have any issues with ice on the roads and
Yeah.
major accidents? And this is where we've got this first alert weather day, 4 of them
Yeah.
here in our upcoming days.
And I'm not an alarmist, but
Same.
today I went out, I went and stocked my fridge up. I went out, made sure I had gas, I made sure I had salt to put on my sidewalks.
You're prepared and responsible. That's what we're going to call you, responsible, not alarmist.
Yes, not an alarmist. I'm just being prepared.
So our chief meteorologist, Lisa Spencer, joining us in about 40 minutes here on WSMV4 at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we also have another story that I want to touch on that
Yes.
we thought was so fascinating.
Terrifying.
Yes, there was a robbery. A man pulled up to pick up people in an Uber, and it was the same car, the same license plate, but the driver was different.
Per the Uber app.
Yep, they hopped in the car, and the driver robbed them.
Yes. That driver had stolen the identity of the Uber driver profile.
Wow.
You all grabbed it, used it, picked up these 2 women, and then robbed them at gunpoint. He is still on the loose
Yes,
tonight.
he is. Yes,
so
he
we have the
is.
very latest on that investigation and a picture of him that we want to get everybody sharing and circulating till this guy's off the streets.
Yeah, because we use Uber a lot in Nashville.
Oh,
a
of
lot of
course.
people use Uber,
Yeah.
and it's something that you need to know and how to keep yourself safe before you hop in your next Uber ride.
Yeah, so our reporter tonight will be working on that and explaining to you all the steps you can take. So thanks for joining us here on WSMV4 News Now. I'm Tracy Cornett,
I'm Marius Payton.
and we'll see you on TV.